Welcome to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Not sure where Vern is today. Maybe he's coming back from Houston. He didn't tell me whether or not he was actually going to be at the Final Four, but who knows? Because he was here last week when we had our special guest, Dodgers pitcher. Okay, let's see. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. Today's theme is baseball. I think these questions are going to be a little easier. That maybe even Russell will know.
Oh,
just teasing you there, sport. Okay, we got a bunch of different topics to talk about. March Madness, both men's and women's team. Russell's going to take the lead on what was going on with the merger with the WWE and MMA. That'll be very interesting. Want to talk a little bit about the golf Masters with the Live Tour. And Jalen Carter, former defensive back for Georgia, declining to meet with any team that does not have a first round, with a pick in the first 10 picks. And that's very interesting. I want to kind of talk to you guys about that and see how risky that is. We also didn't talk last week about Roger Goodell most likely getting an extension, $64 million. And the fans don't even like him. I'm thinking they're probably just looking at the bottom line and just going, well, how well did the whole league do? And okay, we'll give him credit for it.
I'll tell you why he earns every penny of that in a second.
Okay, all right. Because we have to. This will be our short little intro break. And then lastly, I'll mention this now. Domantas Sabonis, which if you remember, his dad played, right? Who did his dad play for? The Nuggets?
Portland
Trailblazers. Okay, he's putting up Chamberlain-type numbers for the Kings, and I'm wondering he's got to be the face of the franchise. Unless there's other
De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, there's a few other players there. Okay, all right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. I think Vern, we'll give him the day off today. All right, so March Madness, we're recording this on Tuesday, the day after the March Madness men's finals, which, by the way, I predicted that they were going to win by, I think, 17 points, and they won by 16.
Yeah,
I was pretty close on numbers. I have it in writing because I put it on Vern's Facebook, and I thought the score was going to be a little bit higher, but
but you did not predict San Diego State would be there.
Well, I didn't know they were going to be there, but once they got there, the Huskies just seemed like they were just a little bit too dominant a team.
And San Diego State just looked played out. They just looked like they just had no gas in the tank.
Yeah, it was one of the most dominant runs by a team in the tournament's history. I think they won 6 of their tournament games by 13 points or more, which has never been done before. Coach Dan Hurley is just incredible, right? Absolutely incredible what he did with Econ. Yeah. He had a video back during the pandemic season in 2020 that said, hey, just wait a couple of years and you'll see we got the real deal going here. And that's awesome how he predicted this. I mean, it's their 5th national championship ever in program history. It's really cool. I have a lot of friends that went to San Diego State, though. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of disappointed Aztecs on my social media feeds. But they were completely outclassed. I'll tell you what, guys. I watched one UConn game, and I knew like San Diego State had no chance. I'm not an expert whatsoever, but you can just tell from an athletic standpoint, they just couldn't be on the same court as them. And, it was a really cool story that San Diego State made it that far.
Sure.
Actually, the first California team in 17 years to make it to the finals, which is insane.
Oh, my God.
Right? Edward's mouth is dropping on the floor right now. That's crazy, too, to hear. Because you think those UCLA teams would have snuck in or something, right? No. So the Aztecs represented California well. I think it was a great tournament overall, but I have some ratings here. The Final Four. The finals ratings haven't necessarily come out yet, but the Final Four ratings are interesting. So the Florida Atlantic San Diego State game was actually the most watched Final Four game in 15 years. Wow. The Miami UConn game was one of the lowest watched games in 20 years.
Really?
Isn't that Final Four game?
Is it just because everyone thought it'd be a blowout, or?
I don't know. I think there's probably fatigue of those two schools, or maybe they want to see the little schools do well, right? Maybe it's like one of those things. But I thought that was a really interesting in contrast. You have two smaller schools go against each other. San Diego State's a pretty big school, and I'm sure Florida Atlantic is. Yeah. But relative to Miami and Econ, right? Those are like some powerhouse school names.
Yeah, but Miami, how well are they known for basketball? I mean, specifically.
Not at all. Not at all.
Really.
Not typically, football, not very well known, but they've been pretty good the past 5 years or so. Like they're a very up and coming program that's had, they're kind of known for their uniforms more than anything because they've always got some cool uniform.
Poor San Diego, that was probably their one chance at winning a national anything. I mean, now that they don't have the Chargers and they haven't had the Clippers in decades, they only have one sport really that could get them a national.
Wait a minute! Wait, the Padres. Come on,
the Padres. Come on, Russ.
That's what I'm saying. Is that now they really only have the Padres because you don't think San Diego State's going to go back to the Final Four again, do you?
Well, I will say this, Russ. So I don't know if you know about the coaching history from San Diego State, but you remember the Fab Five?
Yes.
In Michigan? Those coaches, after that huge scandal over there, came to San Diego State, and they actually made the program what it is now. And the coach there now, the name is escaping me, was the bench coach and assistant coach from those Fab Five teams.
Oh, so wow.
It's pretty amazing what they're doing in San Diego.
But you look at the Cinderella stories from last year and the year before that. Those teams didn't go back to the Final Four. It's going to be a one and done thing for San Diego State.
Well, I don't know.
I don't think so, Russ. Here, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why you're wrong. Because in 2020, during the pandemic season, they're actually a favorite to go to the Final Four. And the other thing is too, San Diego State's actually going to merge with the Pac-12 soon. Finally, San Diego State's going to be a Pac-12 school because USC and these other schools are leaving. So there's going to be a bigger opportunity to face schools like Oregon all the time, to face, all those big Pac-12 schools. I think it's going to be awesome for them to move out. I think it's the Mountain West. So it's
what about this? What about the idea of what does that do for recruiting? Because
huge.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not like you're recruiting for some state that a lot of people are, like quote a flyover state, right? I mean, San
Diego is awesome.
Everyone would love to go to San Diego. Right, because the weather and everything, beaches, and et cetera. So
I was there for 5 years. It's that's where I went to college. But when I was done with San Diego, I was done, and I've only been back there like 3 times.
Wait a minute, Russ. Did you go to San Diego State or University of San Diego?
Neither. I went to UC San Diego.
UC San Diego. See, this is where all the saltiness is coming from. I knew it. I know there's like a little rivalry amongst those 3 schools down there.
UC San Diego has a mascot that about 2/3 of the campus doesn't even know who the mascot actually is at UC San Diego.
Who is
They're
it?
the Tritons. They're the Tritons.
Tritons.
And most people don't even know what a Triton is.
Yeah, it's the spear thing that's got the 3.
No, that's a trident.
Oh yeah.
Trident.
A Triton is that the underwater god?
It's a merman.
It's a merman.
A merman.
Hey, I will say this about UC San Diego: they did join my Santa Barbara Gauchos in the Big West, so you guys are up and coming.
Okay,
that's a good baseball division.
I went to Golden Gate University. There were no dorms. I don't even know if we had a chess team. That's how proud we were. It's just just strictly a business school. I want to make a quick mention here though about. And I was going to say Oopers. So Jill Biden, El Presidente's wife, she apparently she threw out like a nice gesture for both the women's final championship teams, Iowa and LSU. LSU, of course, won. Who played for the championship to visit the White House. So she actually put out what seemed to be a nice gesture because she said, both the teams played so well. I want to invite both teams. And boy, LSU, not some of the people in Angel Reese, I think her name is, right? She's not too happy. Yeah. She tweeted someone, I don't know if it was her or someone else who tweeted, "Hey, Michelle Obama, can we celebrate at your house?"
It's so funny. This is the first time I've ever seen anybody, in a position in the office, I guess, in some capacity, right, or connected to the president, say, "Hey, let's invite both teams." You think that's a great idea? They don't really like each other right now. Maybe in like 10 years when everything's like, we moved on, we have families now. It's like, no, we don't like each other right now. This is a horrible idea. I understand it came from a good place, but everybody was like, oh, this is racist, this is that, because LSU's a predominantly black team, right? And then the other team's predominantly white. So they're like, oh, this is a race thing. They just want to invite white people. It's like,
what?
Dude,
No,
this is just Joe Biden kind of not knowing sports.
And when apparently it's not Joe. You mean Jill? Yeah, right.
Jill, excuse me. Yeah, Jill.
Yeah.
She was the one.
Yeah, because it's kind of strange that the first lady is the one making the invitation rather than the president. Anyway, usually it's the president who does. And a racist thing. That is just ridiculous to me. And I'm not a fan of El Presidente and his wife. But I don't buy that one at all.
Yeah, I think it was just somebody that was trying to be nice, and then they ended up offending people. Like that's got to be the worst feeling ever. It's like, you know what? I want to be a good person today. I want to try to make somebody's day better, and then now you got like this huge issue, and people are calling you racist. It's like, what? It's like, what? Come on.
Everything is racist. Yes. In fact, are they going to change, like, how money, right? If you're doing well, they say you're in the black. Go, what? That's racist. Because that's good. No, we're gonna say you're green. I mean, they're gonna change everything. Okay, you guys ready for our first commercial break here? Trivia.
Yes.
We're talking baseball. What is the name of the baseball field connected to the Baseball Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
What's the name of the field? All right. It's something you would say, that makes sense. All right. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. The answer to this question: what is the name of the baseball field connected to the Baseball Hall of Fame? All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101 will be right back.
So you go first.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman here. Mr. Vern Glenn, yeah, maybe he's sleeping in. No, he's probably still coming back on an airplane somewhere. All right, our first trivia question on baseball: what is the name of the baseball field connected to the Baseball Hall of Fame? Russ,
I'll say Doubleday.
Yes, Doubleday field.
There you go.
No way.
I'm done. I'm done for the day. I'm done for the day. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, so good old Abner Doubleday, who I know there's been some controversy, but it's supposedly he's the guy who, I guess they was rounders in England, and actually Abner Doubleday was kind of like, he was apparently like a general or some kind of a war hero in the Civil War.
Yeah, I've actually visited his actual grave at the Arlington
Okay.
National Cemetery in DC, and it's really cool. I don't know if this is like an inside job by some baseball players and their families, but you go there and there's baseballs everywhere on his grave. And then the other thing is too, you'll see baseball cards of certain baseball players where people are almost like offering an effigy. Like, please help me have a good season, or please help this player do well. And it's really funny because it's been proven he didn't invent baseball at all. He probably just helped like push its popularity a bunch during the Civil War.
Yeah.
But he didn't have anything to do with it.
Really?
So it's even weird that the Hall of Fame has the field named Doubleday Field. So I thought it was cool.
Abner cured my hemorrhoids.
What?
Someone wrote that on Elvis's wall, in Nashville, that Elvis cured my hemorrhoids.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, look who is in the house.
Jeez, I log on. The first thing I hear is hemorrhoids. I'm like, what?
Perfect.
So, Mr. Vern Glenn, we thought you were maybe coming back from Houston, or
No, I did have to fulfill some TV commitments, so that's why I'm late. So anyway,
hardest working man in sports, Vern Glenn.
It never ends, and it's Masters Week. How about that?
Yeah.
In fact, let's that's the next topic here. So,
any final thoughts on the NCAA basketball season? You guys all cover that?
Yeah, you'll have to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, listen to the podcast.
Radio show, whatever.
Yeah,
wherever you find it.
So, Vern, if you look back at your Facebook account, my prediction was pretty close, wasn't it?
About Connecticut, big?
Yeah, I was within, I think, 5 or 6 points of both teams. It's so funny. It's one of those weird things. Like, I don't watch that much college basketball, but when I watch the Final Four, you can kind of see which teams are going to really rise to the top.
Yeah, it was just clear that they were the best team. They could beat you in so many different ways. They can adjust half court, they can up tempo, they did everything. And as long as Adama Sanogo was able to do that, they had 40 rebounds Monday night, 40 rebounds. And with Hawkins, even when San Diego State got out of that hole and cut it to 5, Hawkins had an answer. Other people had an answer. They hit big shots, and they made all their free throws, and San Diego State did not. So there you go.
So are you going to interview our local guys, Joey California and
Joey Calcaterra? Yeah, 13 minutes, a couple of big threes. He's an NCAA champion.
Nevada's finest.
Good for him. Yeah. Novato, Marin Catholic. Marin County could not lose on Monday night.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, because you had to.
And Marin City. When are you ever going to hear Marin City's name mentioned in a college tournament?
We were just all over it. It was cool on the broadcast. They mentioned, Darion Trammell from Marin City.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that was cool. And then there were just multiple watch parties at the Rec in Marin City, and his closest friends and family made the trip to Houston. So I thought that was really cool.
That was such a great story that they had locally here. So again, back to the golf Masters in Augusta. So it's a bit strange. You're having some of the live golfers, or actually all the live golfers, wearing their sponsored uniforms, because I guess per contract they have to wear those uniforms when they're playing.
Well, I mean, when you say uniforms, you make me feel like.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean.
They got to wear their their dress.
Yeah.
It's all about sponsorships. It's all about exposure, and if you're high on that leaderboard, then your logo is going to be exposed. So that's.
And the Masters has nothing to say about that, right?
Yeah, well, it's the Masters. It's their show. It's their way. It's their rules. It's just different, the way they do it. So I mean, they're just not under the governing body of the PGA. So
yeah, I think it's super interesting how it's going to play out socially, because you have the PGA guys that have been super outspoken against the Live Tour guys, and they got to be in the same room. Like, they got to have dinner with each other. They got to be in the same clubhouse and locker room. Like, there's got to be some weird tensions going on there. Probably the first time in a long time where it's like, oh, I hate that guy. He's really trying to ruin, the PGA. He's trying to ruin the legacy of all this. Like, I can't stand. There's been a lot of guys vocal about that they don't ever will look at Phil Mickelson the same way, or they won't ever look at Brooks Koepka the same way, or somebody like that.
Maybe some of those guys the live guys will go, come on, join us.
Yeah, they're probably not too phased because their bank accounts.
Don't you think in the big picture? I'm just talking about the fringe fan that tunes in, that doesn't watch this stuff so closely, just all over, just watching it with one hand, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Fringe fan, I don't think they really care. They're just like, hey, entertain me and show me some great golf.
Sure, absolutely.
They're all millionaires. They're all going to get rich. They all fly on Gulfstream jets. I don't care what tournament they're playing on. They're all at an income level that we were all unfamiliar with. Maybe Edward someday. But anyway, so I just don't think. I just don't think they don't care. Everybody lost their minds when the NCAA women were trash talking going like that and all that kind of stuff. I was like, come on, how come the men can do it and the women can't?
Yeah,
and for so much of a darling as Caitlin Clark is, she was doing the same thing on Saturday. What do you get to tell what the white girl can do it on Saturday, but the black girls can't do it on Saturday?
You know where my stance on that is?
Really?
Yeah.
You know what my stance on it is, Vern? I think it's just all corny. I think the fact that the fans made a big deal is corny. I think the fact that Angel Reese chased her down was a little corny. And then I thought Caitlin Clark doing this was corny. You got to have something better than you can't see me. This is 2023. You got to come in hot with something better.
Russ, I blame John Cena. He started doing it.
Yeah, it is John Cena's fault. It is. No, that whole situation was crazy.
Maybe the whole thing is they're behind the scenes are telling the women, listen, you got to do something to kind of get the edge.
No,
going.
no, no, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
This is
No, it's all
this is
motion.
competitive spirit, Edward. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
nobody comes in with that kind of agenda. I mean,
Gotcha.
these
Okay.
are all
Fair enough.
high level elite players just trying to win a championship. So
Yeah, it's like Major League Baseball when they started introducing bat flips. I thought it was great for the game, right? And I think it's like women's basketball right now is in the baby stages of trying to figure out their identity, right? And like they're starting to like be themselves more. And I think we're going to see a lot better expression at the end of the day, where it's awesome. Where I hope they get in each other's faces. I hope they start bumping chests.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Well,
I think that would be great.
The plays got better over the years.
the play, the play.
That's
Oh
good.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and the ratings reflected. There were so many women
Yep.
watching this tournament. The ratings, according to ESPN, were as high as they've been in 20 years.
I think I saw 9.5 million, which is
Yeah.
huge. That's
Yeah.
almost like a World Series game. That's how big that is.
Enormous audience, enormous.
Now,
So,
so no, I haven't heard yet. But is there any transgender men who are wanting to play in the women's sport basketball? I haven't heard.
I don't know.
What are
It's
they
got to
gonna
be
do?
few and far between. That issue, Edward, is like you're talking about 0.0000001%. It's like
Yeah.
not relevant at all.
yeah,
It's
it is.
it's like
The
it
first
only
time
happened
that
in one
happened-
case.
But I mean, just like Leah Thomas, right? How many swimmers were there?
Yeah,
one
but
time
it will-
happened, you're gonna hear it'll rise to the top.
Of course, because they're just trying to divide everybody. It's a culture war, but it's such a rare thing. It's like saying like somebody with two left feet's playing basketball.
Yeah,
Like,
we did
okay.
a story. We did a story a few years ago on a young woman who had an operation, born a man, had the operation and had to go to court to show that she has crossed over and is a woman and was allowed to play college basketball at Mission College. Now that's a D3 school.
Okay.
But I mean, but we're talking about Iowa, we're talking about LSU, we're talking about
Yeah.
Indiana, we're talking about top level college basketball for
Yeah.
women.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. Guys, kind of like circling back to the golf stuff and just the Live Tour versus the PGA. Sorry to
That's
come
okay.
back to this,
Yeah,
but my thought
Go ahead.
a thought came up. So how was it when like the NFL was like competing with that other league, the AFL, right?
The
And
AFL?
they were taking away and poaching really big talent.
Yeah.
Was there that same kind of animosity between the
Yes,
two
there
leagues?
was.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, there was. Yeah. In fact,
They call them the upstarts.
yeah.
Oh,
In fact, the Minnesota Vikings were about to join the AFL, and the NFL owners kind of colluded and poached the Minnesota Vikings franchise and made them part of the NFL. I mean, there was some deep-rooted hate going on because
Wow.
these NFL owners did not want these AFL owners in their club, so the AFL owners formed their own league, and then they got their contract with ABC, and they actually doing games, and they went out and the big one was Joe Namath.
Yeah.
They
That's
gave,
right.
Yeah.
they gave him a $400,000 contract in 1965, and people lost their minds. Oh my God, you're going to destroy the $400,000.
Hey guys,
Who's going to pay somebody $400,000? Oh, okay, you're ruining the league.
yeah, that's right. Okay, hey, we're gonna ask our trivia question and we'll come back with that. Okay.
Go ahead.
They're talking baseball here. The first franchise known as the Washington, D.C. Senators moved in 1961 to become which team that's still in the American League? All right, stay with us. Sports Geek on 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with F.P. Santangelo Jr., Russell Jackman, and Vern Glenn. Here we go. Okay, trivia question number 2. The first franchise known as the Washington, D.C. Senators moved in 1961 to become which team, which is still in the American League?
The Minnesota
Texas.
Twins.
Minnesota
Texas
Twins.
Rangers.
See, it's funny
No?
because I think it was in 1970. When did the Rangers start? 69 or 70? Because they ended up coming.
I'll tell you, the Senators move became the Minnesota Twins,
Yeah.
but the Senators got a franchise back right away.
Yeah.
Because I can remember going to a Washington Senators game in 1969, and so
they became the Brewers.
and so once they were on the skids, because nobody was going to these games, then they became the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, that's where
right, because the
I got
Seattle
wrong.
Pilots became the Brewers. But when did San Diego Padres come in? I thought they were they an expansion?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. Because
That might have been an expansion franchise.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
late 70s.
Yeah, because the Pilots became they had the 1 year and then they became the Brewers. Which is funny because there was a Milwaukee Brewers team like way, way, way back. Crazy.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Moving on here. So Jalen Carter, former defensive tackle for Georgia, he is declining to meet with any team that does not have a pick within the first 10 picks.
Wow.
You know what?
And I just kind of was thinking about this and I'm going, wait a minute. Now, in theory, except for trades and stuff like that, usually the lousiest teams get the first picks, right? And I'm thinking, so he'd rather go to like maybe a potentially lousy team just to be able to be to say I was in the top 10 draft choices?
Well, Edward, it's about money. I mean, you're playing for that first big contract, and even though you're under those rookie rules, I mean, if you're graded that high, and if everybody knows that, then these other teams, he's like, look, I don't want to waste your time. This is my workout, and this is it, and if you fulfill this, then yeah, come on down.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be even within the first round? I mean, there's 32 teams, right?
Well, Edward, this is actually not too uncommon.
But you're playing for that signing bonus. It's all about the signing bonus, Edward. So
yeah, but wouldn't even within the first round you'd still get that?
A signing bonus?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, so that's why. Yeah. Why does it have to be in the top 10? Go ahead, Pete.
Well, it's called slot money. Yeah. And depending on where you're picked in the first round, it could be the difference of like $10-20 million. It's huge. It's a really, really big deal. Deion Sanders famously said, I'm not going to meet with anybody. Like, I'm just going to meet with this one team because I know they're taking me. And I think he talked to another team and that was it. But he only worked out for one team. And this is very common. This is nothing too crazy. Okay, when you know your slot value, right, and your agent's advising you, and everyone's telling you, please don't waste your time because you could, you don't want to hurt your value, right? You don't want to like look bad or you don't want to get injured. Stop. Like, you don't need to do all these tricks for teams. They know your value and they'll take whatever you want.
Let's say Carolina Panthers weren't really good last year, right? And let's say that for whatever reason, because they traded their draft picks, they're going to be, number 20 in the draft picking. They're probably still going to offer a big contract, wouldn't they? With big signing bonuses.
Oh yeah, I mean they'll get a player. They'll get an impact player at 28. Sure. Yeah. But if you're outside of the top 10, then
it's business too, Edward. If you tell me like I can leverage that against you as the team, like, oh, you're a top 20 pick, but you're not a top 10 pick, so I'm going to pay you less of your slot value.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Even though you know your own value, you're like, man, that's messed up, like because of circumstance. But he knows, and he's being advised again by people like everywhere, right? And he knows his interest, he knows his value. He's just not gonna try to do anything to decrease his value right now, which is smart.
But here's a funny thing. What happens if, for whatever reason, nobody needs a defensive tackle? I mean, obviously people do.
Everybody needs a defensive.
Everybody needs a.
That's true.
Edward, I'm a little bit. I'm as close to being 100% on the show as I can at this moment. But Edward, I'm kind of surprised at how naive you are.
No. I mean, I know. I'm not saying. I mean, I know everybody. It's like everybody needs a quarter. Well, usually they need a quarterback, right? I'm just saying. I'm just thinking. Okay, what happens if you're people going? Let's say someone's the top 2 picks are like, man, we really need a good quarterback. They're going to pick a good quarterback over a defensive tackle if they really need a quarterback, right?
Hey, this is a great example. Justin Fields, quarterbacks famously drop for like unexpected reasons. Whether
Aaron Rodgers,
unexpectedly drop just because they think there's just a better fit. Whether it's just the personality, whether they think they can learn the playbook faster. There's a whole bunch of other factors of quarterbacks.
Here's the other part too. Then I'll be going against what I just said. Is sometimes if you have the number 1 pick, even if you don't even need that player, you're going to pick him anyway just because he's got good high trade value. Right?
Yeah, you always take the bet. It depends on your needs. I think you draft in the NFL for needs, and everything else, like the NBA and Major League Baseball, is best athlete available. It's a lot different.
If I have the number one pick and I don't have a oh my God, I need this one position, then you trade the pick because you get multiple picks out of that, and you kind of fill your roster.
Yeah,
that
so
happens all the
part,
time.
You know, so even if the guy was, you know, a field goal kicker or something, or a punter or something, you might want to just pick him. It's just if he's that so far and above everybody, just for the value of trade.
Al Davis drafted a kicker in the first round.
Yep.
He said, "I'm going to draft the kicker, so that way I don't have to even worry about it." You know.
Yeah. Well, Ray Guy was that. You're talking about Ray Guy, aren't you?
No. I'm talking about who was the kicker out of Florida State that he drafted?
You're not a punter, but a field goal kicker.
I'm talking about the field goal.
Gotcha. Yeah, don't remember.
Name
Sebastian? Is it Sebastian Janikowski?
Yes.
Janikowski.
Yeah. Janikowski, number one. Yep.
Well, and interestingly enough, the kicker is the one who gets you the most points, right?
Yeah. I mean, they help. They help. It certainly helps.
But Janikowski was automatic. You didn't have to worry about it when he tried on the field.
He was phenomenal. Like Morton Anderson really for years was so good.
Now, Edward, I hate to interrupt this conversation, but we have to talk about opening weekend. It's baseball.
Of course. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to get you guys' feelings and thoughts. Did you think opening weekend had the same pop after the World Baseball Classic? And how'd you guys feel? Did you guys get all those boyhood feelings of, oh, man, this is opening weekend. This is really cool. Or were you like,
I don't know about the boyhood feelings, but I was pleased at the total running time of these games. I mean, 2.5 hours. I mean, I love that. I'm like, hey, all right, I'm in. I mean, there was no out of the batter's box, adjust my crotch, spit, readjust my gloves, get back in, I mean, there was no more of that. No pitchers, walking around the mound, coming in, hiking up their pants, and then shaking off a couple of signs, and then they were just, come on, let's go. And so
wait a minute, I pay $100. I want 3 hours worth of entertainment, not 2 years.
I thought that was cool, and there were some good battles. I mean, there were some. I like the intrigue of the Giants opening up at the Yankees. I like the fact that the second pitch that Aaron Judge saw went yard.
Yeah.
Against Webb, who's one of the guys that tried to recruit Aaron Judge to the Giants. I thought that was cool, and so it was great. A couple of pitches that were called balls because the pitcher didn't deliver it in time. I like that. So
that won't happen to them too often. They'll learn quickly.
We got 5 guys in the sports department. 4 of them are playing fantasy baseball, and they are just talking S to each other.
That's great. That's what we want, Vern. That's what we want.
Yeah.
I think it's phenomenal. Rob Manfred actually might save his reputation. I don't know if you guys knew this, but he's not very favorable, right? Because he's been trying so hard to change the game. It's almost been yanking teeth, right, from the traditional baseball fan. It seems like this is just a huge universal win, and I think this might save his legacy as a commissioner, and I think that's absolutely huge. And I can't really remember the last time a commissioner saved his legacy so well, just because these games are so fast. There's a lot more action. Scoring's up. They banned the shift. The great thing, too, that you'll see as the season goes on is that every single team plays every single team now, which is awesome.
I like that.
There's less games in the division, which I think is fine, right? That means less Giants-Dodger games, right, or Yankees-Red Sox games, which – I'll sacrifice so that way a kid can see Shohei Ohtani or Mike Trout play against their favorite team. So this is great exposure for all the big stars. I mean, everything's starting to look like win across the board. The only now it's really, really funny. You know how social media and everything works. It looks like everything is like, wow, this is so great. Now we need automatic robot umpires. Yeah, we get them in yesterday. I can't stand this. If we could do it, let's do it. And it's like, one thing at a time, guys.
Yeah.
One thing at a time.
Oh, can you imagine if they had, okay, we got to look at the booths. There's a complaint about that was really a ball, not a strike. It's like you'd have a 6-hour game.
That's true. That's true. And
did you guys see the clip of the guy at the Dodger game? He ran out to center field, dropped to a knee because he wanted to propose to his girlfriend, and he just got absolutely earholed by security.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Man, what a hit. Gee.
Russ, we can use your legal expertise about this too. He got crushed, and now he's planning on trying to sue the Dodgers because he received a concussion and broken ribs from that hit. But it's pretty illegal to go on a field, correct?
Yeah.
There's not many rules about it.
Yeah, he's not going to collect on it.
Yeah.
He's not
No,
gonna
no. Could they say excessive force?
They're going to say assumed risk.
Assumed
Yeah.
risk.
And I'm pretty sure there's a legal agreement when you purchase a ticket too. It says
It
on
is.
the ticket that you're like Major League Baseball is not liable to what happens to you with baseballs, flying objects, and you're warranted to be arrested if you go into the field. Right?
And we're going to hit you over the head with a baseball bat. So they're preparing you ahead
Right.
of
No, he was
time.
in
Hurt
the
really,
process
really
of-
badly.
He was
I wonder
committing
what
a
the biggest
crime.
hit
He was committing a crime.
I wonder,
Yeah.
what was the biggest hit? The security guy on the Dodger fan, or George Kittle clotheslining the Miz
Yes.
at WrestleMania 39?
Awesome. That's a perfect transition too, because I wanted to get in the fact that the WWE was sold or has merged with an MMA group to make Protege a $9.5 billion company. So
Sounds
that's
smart.
talk about your big money. Talk about your, sports econ 101. The WWE will be part of a $9 billion organization. which is-
Wow.
Well, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All these
Well,
discussions where people, the tree huggers. Oh, money isn't everything. No. Money is the only thing.
It's the only thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, WrestleMania was this weekend and this last weekend, and that's the big Super Bowl of wrestling, pretty much for even the other feds that are out there look at the WWE's 2-day event and take notice of what goes on there. And yes, our own George Kittle went and beat up the Miz for his big moment in the ring, which is something I know that Kittle was always a huge fan about.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's nice.
Hey,
to
Russ,
see-
we got to cut to another quick break here. And by the way, when they say money doesn't grow on trees, they're actually right, because it's not made out of wood.
Rag
It's made out of
paper.
Cotton.
Yeah, it's right.
So it's not made out of wood. Okay, you ready for a third trivia question here? The Cincinnati Reds briefly changed their name during the McCarthy era. To what name?
Oh.
Oh, very interesting. And by the way, Vern, you missed the question about what was the name of the baseball field connected to the Baseball Hall of Fame, but you know the answer to that. What's
What,
the-
in Cooperstown? That one?
Yeah. Yeah. What's that? What's the field called?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Doubleday.
Wow, I'm the only one that knew that
Yeah.
one.
All right.
Well,
Stay with us.
Doubleday. All right.
Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn, FB Santangelo Jr., and Russell Jackman. Our third trivia question: the Cincinnati Reds briefly changed their name during the McCarthy era because Reds are better,
Yeah.
red than, better dead than red, that sort of thing, right? What did they change their name to temporarily?
I'm curious. I'm curious to find out what the answer is. I don't know.
You'll have heard the name, the Cincinnati Redlegs.
Oh.
Redlegs. That's what. Yeah, it's funny. I thought that they were the Redlegs, like because they were the Red Stockings, right?
Yeah.
Way back, and I thought then they changed to Redlegs, but didn't realize they changed it during the McCarthy era.
I wonder how long that name. I mean, was that name there for like a cup of coffee?
Yeah, I was going to say. I think I don't know if it lasted the full. I think it lasted like one season.
Oh, okay.
When they all said, "Nah, let's go back."
The
to
way
the
retro stuff is, the Reds might just do that for another season and become the Redlegs just to do the retro thing.
That or just to sell more uniforms,
Yes.
right? Anything to get more, like the old Brooklyn Dodgers hats and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just really quickly here. So the Mavericks are probably going to be sitting down Irving and Doncic because they have an outside chance to make the playoffs. Thought that was interesting. That's it's like, we're not going to win anyway. Let's save our players. Okay, you guys ready? Here's our thoughts for the day. So I told my wife she needs to embrace her mistakes. So she gave me a hug. And I'm writing.
That's good.
You like that one? And I'm writing a book on reverse psychology. Please don't buy it. All right, tune in. Oh, we're starting to warm up FP here.
Oh, that was good. That was
You like
those two were great today.
All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
So long.